Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty Roundtable Radio Talk Show.
11 scientists, multiple deaths, and disappearances. Not to mention Congress deadlocked. Are you surprised? Happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. Sam Bushman with hard-hitting news the networks refuse to use, as always. The good Sheriff Richard Mack with me once again, ladies and gentlemen. He wants a partnership between citizens and law enforcement, especially your sheriff. Become part of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association posse today, would you please? CSPOA.org. If you join America's growing posse, you can help take America back one county at a time. CSPOA.org. Check out his incredible books. The County Sheriff, America's Last Hope. Are You a David? From My Cold Dead Fingers. The Proper Role of Law Enforcement. He's got several others as well. And his new book coming out soon. Keep an eye out for it. The Democrat Murder of America. Demagoguery in the First Degree. And it's written by Sheriff Richard Mack, but also he's got a co-author this time too, ladies and gentlemen. A well-known one, Daniel Perkins. So check that out. CSPOA.org coming soon. All right, 11 scientists, Sheriff Mack, multiple deaths and disappearances. The question is, are feds digging for answers? Now, let me give you the details, then we'll talk about it. Federal officials are, quote, reviewing at least 11 cases since 2022 involving U.S.-linked scientists who have died or disappeared under strange circumstances. Many are working in high-level fields like nuclear, aerospace, defense-related research. They say that the cases span multiple states and circumstances, including, quote, reported suicides, unexplained deaths, missing persons. Sadly, this is the next part that really concerns me. Agencies such as the FBI, the Department of Energy, and others are involved in assessing whether any national security risks and or patterns exist. Authorities say they have not confirmed any connections between the cases so far, and there's no evidence of coordinated foul play yet. And so they're kind of wondering about this, but it's very strange, and it's taking the blogosphere by storm. Sheriff, you have been involved in plenty of investigations yourself. What do you say to this whole strange thing?
I find their measured and careful wording on addressing the investigation rather stupid. There's 11 nuclear scientists that have very suspicious circumstances have died or have been murdered or are missing. So they've been kidnapped or they're dead also. Sam, do I need an investigation to already understand there's obviously a problem with national security? That's the obvious conclusion that we start with. And why this took 11 of them. What happened when there was 5 or 6 of them dying under suspicious circumstances or just turned up missing? Obviously, there's already a long chain of evidence that something is more than just coincidental here. You know, at 3 or 4 or 5, you might say, "Oh, well, we can't prove coincidental chain here." Well, by number 11,
so your point is agencies saying, "Hey, we're going to assess whether there's anything to this," and you're going, "We're beyond that, people already," right?
Exactly. Yeah, we're way beyond that. And one of the female scientists that was murdered, she told a friend, and she even wrote it to him, and he read it on Fox News a couple of days ago. Said, "My life is in danger." Why she knew that, we're not sure. But maybe she already saw her colleagues being murdered and kidnapped. And so she knew it was going to come to her because she's in the same position. That would be a pretty reasonable conclusion right there. But she said, I will not. If they ever come up and say that I committed suicide, I definitely did not and would not. If they come up with some, I've had some.
You in your latest book even bring that up right at the start. You say if we end up at the bottom of a well, you'll know.
Right. Right. Yeah. So if Dan Perkins and if this happens to Dan Perkins and me, because of this book, you'll know that we've been murdered. And so the same thing here. And then this lady said, if I have an accident and die, you'll know I definitely did not. And two, and then three, if I commit a murder, you'll know I definitely did not, and make sure it gets investigated. And now all these investigators, well, it looks like we might have a problem here. There's a national security problem here. And Sam, is there any coincidence here at all between the hundreds and hundreds of sleeper cells that are in America and that they're pulling off these murders and kidnappings? And we're still wondering why this is happening?
You might end up with a cover-up because the FBI and the Justice Department and all these other people are famous for that, right? I mean, we still don't even have the answers on JFK like we should have got, right? We don't have the answers on a lot of these different things. How much have you heard about the Charlie Kirk real scenario? You know, we don't know how much about the Donald Trump real assassination. Now there's all kinds of people going off on that we don't have the answers relating to that in Pennsylvania, Candace Owens, many others. And you can say, well, Sam, those are just conspiracy nut theories. And my response is, yeah, but what happens when you can't trust the FBI? You can't trust the Justice Department. You think about who all's involved here and you kind of go, are they really getting to the bottom of it? Or are they making sure that we don't get any answers?
Gee, and who in the world, Sam, would that we're pushing and that we're fighting that would want to do this sort of thing?
Oh, maybe Iran.
Yeah, probably a few others.
Maybe Russia.
Russia, China.
Maybe China. Maybe North Korea.
Iran. North Korea is another one. You know,
maybe Venezuela, Cuba. I mean, the list gets longer every day, right?
Right. And so, Sam, and why they're being so careful about it. If Comer comes out, why don't you come out and say, we've obviously got a real sinister problem going on here, and we need to get the best investigative teams going on this, and we should have started this a year ago. And so...
well, it's been going on since 2022, so I'd say 2 or 3 years ago even.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it's 26 now. If it started in 22 and how many ever there was by 2024, 2025, at the least we should have been looking into this. And we're, getting on halfway through 26 or a quarter of the way through 26. You kind of got to go, wait a minute. And they're just going, yeah, we think there might be a problem. We don't really have any evidence, but there might be. What?
We obviously have a pattern going on here. That's obvious. But they don't even want to say that. So
now here's the other interesting question that I have about this. It relates to nuclear. Do you think the timing is strange when we discuss American nuclear scientists all missing and deaths and strange and weird, and then another one saying I fear for my life and all this kind of stuff, and now we're basically saying we'll make sure that Iran never gets nukes, and this is what that's all about, and we're going to Trump saying, hey, we're going to destroy a whole civilization if they don't get their act together. And, you got these assassinations and then you got these strange missing scientists. And you got to wonder, is this all linked, Sheriff?
Yeah, I don't wonder about it. It's obviously linked. The problem is now we need to get some heavy duty investigations going. And if you turn up something that's, these were all independent and lone wolf deals, and or there's just no evidence. Obviously, this woman scientist had some evidence that made her feel she was going to be murdered, and sure enough, she was. And you might want to start with that one, and then go to that person and say, well, what did she tell you? Why did she fear for her life? And what evidence did she, and who did she mention, if anyone, that she was really worried about, and so it looks.
Are you telling Donald Trump, the president of the United States, that you're available for investigative work?
Yes, I would tell that to Comer too.
How about Cash? Because Cash Patel, he's going to get to the bottom of it, don't you think?
Yeah, well, they always have the best investigators in the world until stuff like this comes up, and so what are they doing? And why is this taking so long? And then,
Well, and that's why I kind of say you got to really honestly ask yourself: are they involved in really, trying to figure this out, or are they really involved in the cover up and make sure we never get the answers? I know that sounds negative and sinister.
Yeah, it
but
does.
Look, the Democrats have extreme control. And I mean, look, they're doing the Democrat murder of America according to your book and everything. And hey, might they just deep six this? What is this really about?
Well,
is it about nuclear? Is it about Iran?
My first inclination is Iran, because I've said that all along. We have the sleeper cells here, and we know that tens of thousands of Hezbollah, Hamas, and all sorts of different terrorist groups are here. They've set up shop here because of the Democrats. There's more murder for you right there. Democrats will not do anything about this, because if they do something about the rapists and the murderers and these types of cases that we're talking about right now, then that means those people will be taken off the voter rolls. And
if they dig into this too hard, we'll find out there are sleeper cells really at the helm of a lot of this going on in America, whether it be gang ties, whether it be assassination attempts or assassination successes, sadly in the case of Charlie Kirk, or whether they be, some of these other issues with some of these scientists. The question is, who's next? What'll happen next? Well, Congress should be looking into this stuff too, should be putting commissions out and supporting this effort. But here's the deal. Congress is deadlocked right now. Did you know that? Congress is deadlocked over a massive foreign aid bill, and the border fight intensifies. I kid you not. Lawmakers remain divided over a, quote, multi-billion-dollar package funding the Ukraine, Israel, and border enforcement is stalled on passage, raising concerns about overseas support. So you look at that and you go, whoa, what? And yes, it's true. The next headline says this: border crossings stubbornly remain elevated despite, quote, new crackdown measures. Federal aid or federal data shows, quote, migrant encounters remain high along the southern border, even as new policies aim to tighten the rules and change the game. So now we find out the border's not even as safe as we thought it was. Maybe that's either changed or it's not as safe, or it, got worse. Hard to say, but that's even in the mix now, Sheriff.
Well, Sam, you knew, and everyone knew, when Trump secured the border, it would just be a matter of time till illegal aliens figured out how to beat it. And whatever new tactics that they used, they know how to get around them. And that's back to the old theory: if you build a 30-foot wall, they're going to build 35-foot ladders. And so, Sam, these people are very well funded. They're smart, and they know how to look at a problem and solve it, and they have. And I'm not surprised about this at all, especially when you have the Democrat Party supporting them and the national media supporting this. And they've got to win what they brought them here for, and in the first place, and that was election fraud.
Well, and if we're not very careful, Kash Patel's promising election fraud arrests soon. Trump promised that several months ago soon. Mm-hmm. If the Republicans don't get a handle on telling the truth quickly and partnering with the new media folks like me taking center stage, if they continue just to go to the old guard, they're going to get what they've always got, by the way. But all I'm telling you is if they don't get a handle on this soon, midterms, I think the Democrats are going to win and the Republicans are going to get their heads handed to them. I don't want that, but I see it on the wall, Sheriff.
Yeah, and Sam, I find it astonishing that the Democrats could have the open borders, be pro-crime,
pro-death,
disdain for law and order, disdain for national security. They've completely opened up our borders. They've completely opened the country to cartels and terrorists, and they're going to win? And so,
Yes, they
first,
are.
yeah,
Even Trump is starting to admit it now. And part of the reason is they say it's the economy, stupid. Oil prices now surge on Iran tensions and shipping threats. Food prices are moving higher
yeah,
as instability is tied to Iran and key Middle East shipping routes. There's supply disruptions expected and potential, quote, global energy shocks. And now when you think about global energy shocks, you got to go back to these 11 scientists, don't you? See this circle that we find ourselves in?
yeah, it is a vicious circle of political corruption. And this is why I question the Republicans that they're not focusing on what damage, destruction, and murder that the Democrat Party is doing. Why are they playing softball with this?
I
And
think they're in self-destruction mode, either that or they want to share power. I think part of the problem is these people just intentionally share power, and they're kind of like, hey, it's your turn. I know that sounds crazy, but I see it. I mean, China right now ramps up military pressure around Taiwan. Chinese forces expanded air and, quote, naval operations near Taiwan, escalating regional tensions and drawing warnings from U.S. defense officials. But, I don't know what we can do about it per se. Also, there's now a cyber attack. I don't know if you saw this, Sheriff. Cyber attack hits U.S. energy and communications systems. Authorities are now investigating a, quote, coordinated cyber attack affecting critical infrastructure sectors with early indicators suggesting a highly sophisticated foreign, quote, linked operation. Okay, this is the stuff we're facing right now. And Donald's like, yeah, I'm Jesus and the Pope's an idiot. And the Republicans are like, yeah, we're stuck on border stuff and we're on recess and midterms are coming and we're going to lose. And Kash Patel, hey, he's suing everybody because they called him a drunk and he doesn't like it. And I mean, we're just in clown show mode, Sheriff.
yeah, I'm afraid so. And I really wish that somebody was on the staff with President Trump that would tell him one place you never want to start a fight. That is with the Pope, who
Amen.
who is revered worldwide.
Especially when the Pope's right. All the Pope said is we want peace, right?
Yeah, that's a lose-lose situation there, and just never go there. And that's been one of my big complaints about him from the get-go, that he always hits back, and he doesn't need to do that. He's far too busy, and he needs to look more professional. But
well, and if you want to say, hey, the Pope's right, we agree 100% with his peace view. At the same time, we've got some serious national security things he may not be privy to. So I still stand where I stand. I get those kind of statements, but attacking the Pope is like psychotic.
It's time to move on. It's time to move on.
Speaking of moving on, this is important to understand. There's severe storms slamming central U.S. with tornadoes and flooding right now. It's a widespread storm system. It's triggering tornadoes, flash flooding, power outages across multiple states, leaving communities to assess damage and work on recovery efforts and stuff. I mean, we've got all fronts right now to worry about, Sheriff.
Well, that was going through my mind when you said that, because it. But also another thing went through my mind is AOC is going to come out publicly. We told you. Climate change, global warming is going to destroy our country, and we're all going to be dead in 12 years. But she said that 3 years ago.
Your book highlights she said that forever ago and said there was 10 years left. That was like 15 years ago, right?
Yeah. So I can't wait for her to be vice president, and
whoa, hold on now. I can't wait for your book to come out and stop that from happening, Sheriff.
Well, it's supposed to. And that's one of the reasons why we did it. We wanted to help exposing the truth for the 2026 midterms. And so that's why we're really pushing it to get done here in the next couple of weeks.
All right. There's also a housing crisis, as you all know, but it's deepening. And prices are locking out buyers. Interest rates are out of control. High mortgage rates, elevated home prices continue to, quote, squeeze affordability, keeping many first-time buyers sidelined nationwide. Donald Trump is just arguing with this Federal Reserve guy. Why don't we just shut down the Federal Reserve and quit arguing, Sheriff?
Yeah, that's for darn sure, Sam. The Federal Reserve is probably the biggest problem with our economy and inflation that we've ever had. And we've turned our economy over to international banksters. Yeah, the gangsters of banks that run our economy. The answer to no one. The Federal Reserve is not federal. They're their own entity. They just spent $2 billion on renovating their offices.
It's ridiculous. They don't have any reserves either, by the way.
Did they have to get that approved by Congress? Nope.
No.
Just do it.
Of course not. So, yeah, that's the problem. But I got good news to end the hour, Sheriff. Do you want to end on some good news?
Sure.
Texas and Ohio are both considering abolishing property taxes.
Wow.
Now, I don't know how serious they are about it, because a lot of times we just hear a bunch of talk, right? But we can only hope and only pray. See, I want to move to the first state that has no income and or property tax. And there's none of those right now, but I'm waiting for the first one to bust out, and then I want to move there.
Yeah. Wow. That I would consider that too, because property taxes, people go, oh, that's what, those are good. No, it's my property and I own it. Why do I have to keep paying taxes on it?
Well, and you even have to pay, just so people know, you have to pay on your property too, like your computers if you have a business, or your shares in your office. Every year you have to go through this big old, share the list of everything you got with your government, and you can depreciate. Why do they do that to all your property? Whose property is it then, really?
You don't own the property. You're just renting it from government.
That's right.
And so, no, that's wrong. I own it. Life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness means I get to own my property. Okay, that's part of the deal.
Point. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So anyway, I reject property tax. I reject income tax. I support apportionment tax. I support sales tax to some degree. I support tariffs at the borders. Now, sadly, Donald Trump didn't get Congress involved like I warned him, and now he's having to pay back big money. They're putting a website together so everybody can kind of get back their tariffs that Donald Trump illegally took, says the courts. All you had to do is get Congress to back the play of Donald Trump, and we could have had it solid as a rock, which we should have, and then we should have dropped the IRS entirely. He still can give me a birthday present before the midterm elections. My birthday is July the 4th, so I'm hoping Donald Trump abolishes the IRS on my birthday. It'll be the best midterm elections news we could get. But I digress, except to say that I'm convinced that we've really got to do something bold before the midterms, and I'm convinced what we need to do is get Congress to back Donald's play. The tariffs were great. But you can't do it all by yourself in America, President. That's just not the way it works.
Yeah, I'm afraid you're right there, too. So,
all right, final comment for America?
Well, Sam, one thing I wanted to bring up about the book is Hillary Clinton on her cattle futures. A Florida university determined that it was 1 in 30 trillion that she could have done that legally.
But she's above the law, Sheriff. What do you want to do about it?
It's 1 in 30 trillion that Hillary Clinton is an honest, good person. 1 in 30 trillion.
And Donald Trump won't look into it because he just wants you to leave Bill and Hillary alone. Remember, we were going to lock her up, and then he said, "No, leave her alone."
Yeah. So I guess he should have locked her up.
Sheriff Mack's book, ladies and gentlemen, coming out soon. The Democrat Murder of America. Demagoguery in the First Degree. Daniel Perkins and Sheriff Mack. Check it out, cspoa.org. It's coming soon. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Sam. See you soon, brother.
I am Sam Bushman. Thanks for watching. We're available on radio, libertyroundtable.com. That's radio and video. libertynewsradio.com, Rumble, X, YouTube. We're everywhere, baby. God save the Republic of the United States of America.